This is MIP.
Some say my future not that bright. Some say I'm useless, unholy, and I'm not living right. But at the beginning of the day, look in the mirror and say, I am somebody. Oh. Well, I believe the future's in my hand. And I tell every boy, girl, woman, and man, if I can think it, I can believe it, create it and achieve it. So I am somebody. Oh, I am somebody. Oh, I am somebody.
I can see that myself, I think. Joining us now, founder of the Rainbow Push Coalition here in the Rainbow's anniversary month of December, the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Good morning, sir. How are you this morning?
Good morning. Still reflecting upon the ramifications of the Alabama victory.
That is something. That was quite a victory, wasn't it?
Well, we're 26% of the population in Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
We voted 30%. We outvoted our numbers percentage-wise.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you vote all you can and spend less than you have, you can make it. But if you spend more than you have and vote less than you have, it's a formula for suicide. This time we voted all that we could vote.
Yeah.
The impact was substantial. I'm also convinced. Go on, Mark.
No, I was
also convinced.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I was just saying that one of the victories I saw inherent in this thing is that the Lee County, where Auburn University is, Auburn, real football team, and Tuscaloosa, where University of Alabama is, we won those counties. Those are the counties where you have these vast athletic programs where blacks and whites learn to play and function together. Breaking down that kind of barrier has a great meaning beyond even the selection. Mm-hmm. The impact of black, the Iron Bowl made up of Auburn and Alabama. We won those two counties. That's a significant breakthrough, that seems to me.
No, you're absolutely right. I'd say the other breakthrough, Reverend Jackson, and you alluded to this in the past as well when we've talked, this whole debate about the toxicity of African-American leadership and African-American personalities going in to mobilize the black vote. It knocked down two things. One, this argument that was made in 2016 primaries that the southern states didn't matter in Democratic primaries, even though there's so many black votes, beat that down. It renewed the 50-state strategy conversation, but it also showed that black votes matter. Black lives matter, but black votes matter, even in red states, Reverend Jackson, that we can make a difference, support a 50-state strategy with our own votes, and undoes, to borrow your term, this argument of toxicity in terms of mobilizing black voters. You know, because at one time, they didn't want Cory Booker. I know for a fact they didn't really want Cory Booker and Kamala Harris going down there. They were afraid of that. That would cause some type of backlash.
Well, they never really changed that strategy. I think it's fair to say that we keep saying that the Democratic Party won. The Democratic Party did not. They benefited from our victory, but we voted our own interests. They never really funded black papers, newspapers, and black readers they should have. We defined our own interests. Whenever we face a severe threat of the kind of Moore and Trump on the one hand, or someone that we are for, as in the case of President Obama, we tend to vote for our own independent interests. The party really cannot take credit for the victory. The party benefited from the victory, but they didn't invest in it.
Right. But I would like to think, I would hope that they would have learned from that mistake, you know, and that we can press our case even stronger, having proven what we did in Alabama.
Well, I think that we have to follow up on, you know, we run in 84, we expanded the black vote significantly in Alabama and the South. 84 campaign, and Shelby won in 86. And Shelby turned Republican. On the other hand, we see that this guy, Doug Jones won, and we're getting these signs. We must watch him very carefully, make sure he does not dance off the end zone.
When you say signs, Reverend Jackson, what do you mean?
Well, he said something yesterday about let's end dealing with sex harassment and get on to real issues. Well, sex harassment is a real issue, but there's still beyond it. We'll end race harassment because if you cannot get a job because of your race, or cannot get a promotion because of your race, you can't get on the board because of your race, that's harassment. So in sex and race harassment, but sex harassment is real. So is race harassment. That's also real.
He's actually saying even more specifically that Donald Trump should not have to resign over sexual harassment allegations, saying Congress should move on. He is also, when asked about hiring African Americans on his staff, he was non-committal. Those are some pretty clear signs of concern, aren't they?
Those are signs, but that's why, and I voted not just for him, but to get more blacks in the state legislature. Because come 2020, if we control the legislature, we begin to get our share of representatives, of judges, of senators, and county commissioners, and so that while we voted for him, he was not the sole source of motivation. He was threatened by Moore's Back to Slavery campaign and by Trump's meanness. But we voted in the ex-slave states. Virginia, 1 of every 5 votes was African American, and Alabama, 1 of every 3 votes was African American. In the ex-slave states, can free the South can free the country.
You're right.
That's why we vote against the odds, and when we do, we win.
So, so what then should our posture, our strategy be, Reverend J. Jackson with us, folks, at 21 minutes for the hour? If, in fact, the Democratic Party still does not get that the black vote came out in spite of it and they've only benefited from it, what ought our posture be? What should we be doing?
Well, we benefit more from that alliance than we do from the Republican alliance, but be sure that our drive was independent. They did not fund the big black vote turnout.
Right.
They did not fund radio, like Rose Sanders radio station, a 50,000 watt station, on the day of the election, got a GLTV ad the day of the election, for example. And the fact that the black newspapers and black radio should have benefited enormously from the campaign. We were driven more by Moore and Trump than we were by Jones. And so that's another thing, Mark, that's important, is that white women voted overwhelmingly for Trump, like 65%.
Yeah, they did.
All right, they voted for Gillespie in Virginia. White women voted for Moore in Alabama. Mm-hmm. It's the black woman vote that made the real difference. White women voted for Moore in Alabama, Gillespie in Virginia, and they voted for Trump. And so I didn't believe they represent the softer sex. That must come under closer scrutiny.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The right wing female vote and the evangelistic vote is the base of the Republican Party. The white female vote and the evangelicals are the base of the party.
Indeed.
The right wing.
866-99 series, Reverend J.C. Jackson with us. Reverend, what are your thoughts about this tax legislation, this tax bill?
You should, from a health bill for the poor to wealth benefit for the rich. It is an awful piece of legislation. And there'll be more people, there'll be less people covered, and more yachts for the very wealthy. That's not enough. You cut health for the poor, and increase wealth for the rich. Mm-hmm. It's vulgar.
Yeah, it most certainly is. The Reverend Jesse Jackson with us, folks. Reverend, this will most likely be our last time to talk on air. Of course, we'll talk off air, but before the holidays come. We've appreciated you joining us all of these Mondays. We want to continue our relationship with you, of course, in 2018. And how you feeling, man? How's your health, by the way?
Well, getting better. I do want to announce it February 8th and 9th is the Wall Street Summit Conference
Yes.
in New York. We're holding it.
And I'm gonna be a big. I want to be a big part of it. You all stay tuned. We're gonna deal with the Wall Street. That's always been. How many years have you been doing the Wall Street project now?
21 years.
Yeah.
Because I'm convinced that in the stages of our struggle, we go from ending slavery to ending Jim Crow to the right to vote, to access to capital. No matter how much voting we can do, as you get access to your fair share of contracts and capital, you still can't grow.
Right.
We need wealth. Other people need wealth.
Yeah. So, folks, we want to do some big things at the annual Wall Street Project, Wall Street Conference, and we're going to set up to maybe even do some broadcasting there. That would be our goal. So we encourage you all to keep it tuned.
We talk a lot about making politicians accountable that we vote for.
Right.
Make corporations accountable. The reason why we fight, BMW, 340 dealerships, 5 African Americans.
Right. So have they still yet to respond to you?
They've not completed the deal yet. No, we still boycotting BMW, for example. I mean, we're talking about political kind of track corporate accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Our dollars are greater than our votes, but we have both of them to use.
Yes, sir. So what's down there? We'll look for the Wall Street Project, Wall Street Conference. Reverend Jackson, you are in our prayers. Continued good health to you. Merry Christmas and Happy Kwanzaa.
Well, thank you. But I must say that for our allies in Alabama, from Mobile to Tuskegee to Montgomery to Birmingham, they deserve special thanks because at a very dark hour, they brought light and new possibility. The ex-slave states, from Virginia around the Texas, vote their numbers. Those states have freeing power because the ratio between blacks and browns and whites in those states is greater than the urban north. So when the South comes alive, everything comes alive.
Yeah.
Montgomery victory, Birmingham victory, Selma victory, December 12th victory. The ex-slave states come alive, they can free the whole country.
Reverend Jackson, before I forget, 2/4 that, I'd be remiss if I didn't get your reaction to more news we're hearing about LaDavid Johnson. There was some early reports that he was executed. Of course, the family, more remains of him surfaced. But there's also a report now that he wasn't captured by the enemy or executed at close range. This report found evidence that he fought against the Islamic State group's actions until the very end. He was fighting and simply was killed in the battle. But there's still a lot of sketchy information. I mean, we just still have not gotten one straight, consistent story about this young man.
Yeah, I don't know enough about the comment. I'm still yet confused on the outcome and what happened.
Yeah. It's very confusing. But that's the I'll read this to you and you'll hear it as I hear it. The report and the audience as well. The AP reports, the report concluded that Johnson, who was athletic and a runner, was in the lead and got the farthest away, seeking cover under the brush. Officials said there were a number of enemy shells around Johnson and evidence that he appeared to fight to the end. His boots and other equipment were later stolen, but he was still wearing his uniform.
It's certainly worth our pursuing. But all let me say as we move toward Christmas time, let's save for the Savior, not spend for the Savior. Save something doing. Save your Christmas bonus. Don't spend it. Save for the Savior. Don't spend for the Savior.
I think that'll preach, Reverend. You gonna let me preach that? Can I
save for the Savior? Don't spend for the Savior.
Can I steal that and preach it? I like that.
He came to break up the shackles of debt.
Yeah.
And oppression. So let's save for the Savior. Don't spend for the Savior. Save for it.
I like that.
By the way, A&T beat Grambling in the big football game this past Saturday.
Yes. Congratulations.
It's a big deal. Well, A&T is number one now in enrollment among black colleges. Number one in producing black engineers 42 a year. Number one in football and number one, of course, in the city since the 1960s. The school is the prominence of A&T as the university grows every day. So it's a big game this past Saturday.
And of course, Reverend Jackson is an A&T alum.
Watch out.
And I respect you so much. I didn't even say anything about Patrick and the Hoyas beating A&T in basketball, but A&T played them well. They played Patrick and Georgetown very, very well. And that's one thing about John Thompson. He started that legacy of Georgetown playing HBCUs. His first 6, I think, like 5 of their first 8 games were HBCUs. Coppin, A&T, Howard, all played Georgetown. Otherwise, those schools don't get the television exposure and the advertising dollars they deserve.
Georgetown is just A&T by another name.
You're right. You're right about that, Doctor. You were certainly right about that. Reverend Jackson, love you, man, and continue to be well. We'll call you a little later today and get caught up on a few things, and we look forward to the Wall Street Project folks and doing some big things with that. The Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Keep hope alive.
Keep hope alive. Yes, sir. All right. Take care.